Hello everybody, it's Tarun. Welcome to your last tutorial in this basic Python course. In this tutorial I'll teach you about files, how to work with files and how to read and write from any file. Okay, so far we have learned how to write programs and communicate our intentions with the CPU using conditional execution, functions and iterations. Okay, we have learned how to create and create and use programs in the main memory. Okay, so the CPU and memory are where our software works and run. It is where all the thinking happens. Okay, so before starting with files, I want to discuss something with you, which is hardware structure. Okay, so this is the hardware structure which I'll be discussing with you. Okay, in this structure we can see that we give input from the input devices and it gets processed in CPU and main memory, and it gets processed and we'll see the output. Okay, but once the power is turned off, anything stored in CPU or main memory is erased. Okay, so up to now our programs have just been transient fun exercises to learn Python, which means that these were just to learn Python. They were not saved in our memory. Okay, secondary memory is the hard disk space in which you are storing your data. Okay, so now we start to work with secondary memory or files. Secondary memory is not erased even when the power is turned off. Okay, or when you want to move data from one place to another, you use USB drives. Okay, so this can be used to take data from one system to another. Okay, for transferring. So we are going to be primarily focusing on reading and writing text files, such as those we create in a text editor. Okay, so let's start with files. First of all, I'll teach you how to open files. Okay, so when we want to read or write a file which is on our hard drive, we first must open the file. Opening the file communicates with your operating system, which knows where the data for each file is stored. Okay, when you open a file, you are asking the operating system to find the file by the name and make sure that the file exists. Okay, in the example which I am going to show you, I am going to open a file named mbox.txt. okay, which should be stored in the same folder that you are in when you start Python. Okay, the folder I am talking about is the folder in which you have installed your Python. Let's say I have installed it in C. So let me show it to you. Okay, so now you can see that this is the address C Python 33. Okay, so this must be the folder where I have stored, where the file should have been stored. And the files that I'm going to use in this tutorial, okay, are on the link which I'm going to provide you. Okay, these are the links on which you can find the text files which I'm going to use. So you can download this from these websites. Okay, and now let's start with opening the file. Okay, to open a file, we use the syntax, say fhand equals to open. Okay, and now let me print fhand. If the open is successful, the operating system returns us a file handle. Okay, this is the file handle. The file handle is not the actual data that is contained in the file, but instead it is a handle that we can use to read the data. You are given a handle if the requested file exists and you have the proper permissions to read the file. Okay, So you can see that you have permissions to read the file. So this is how the handle works. Let me show you. Okay, these are the program statements, and our handle has been created. It goes out and search for the file which we have provided. Okay, if the file is existing, it goes and performs the above operations, these operations. Okay, and the program executes. So if the file does not exist, open will fail with a traceback, and you will not get a handle to access the contents of the file. So let's say I do not have a file, stuff.txt. So if I try to open the file, okay, you can see that file not found error, no such file or directory. Okay, so later we'll use try and except to deal with this situation. Okay, when we attempt to open a file that does not exist. So a text file can be thought of as a sequence of line, much like a Python string, which is a sequence of characters. For example, this is a sample of a text file which records mail activity from various individuals in an open source project development team. Okay, this is present in the mbox.txt. Let me show you. Just a second. Okay, this is the file which I was talking about, and this file is available on the links I have provided you, and a shortened version of this file is also there. Okay, these files are in standard format for a file containing multiple mail messages. So the lines which start with from separate the messages from the lines which start with from colon. Okay, so what I am saying, there are some lines which start with from, okay, and some start with from colon. So the lines which start with from separates the messages, and the lines which start with from colon are part of the messages. So to break the file into lines, there is a special character that represents the end of the line, called the new line character. Okay, in Python we represent the new line character as a \n. Okay, this is our new line. Right. This is our new line character. Okay, so even though it looked like two characters, it is actually a single character. When we look at the variable by entering stuff in the interpreter, it shows us that the \n in the string, but when we use print to show the string, we see that the string broken into two lines with a new line character. So let me just show you what I'm saying. So let's just create a string saying hello \n world. Okay, so if I type stuff directly, you can see that it is showing me the string as it is. But what if I type print stuff? So you can see that it has broken the string into two parts by taking the world to the next line. Okay, so if I check the length of this string, okay, so you can see that it is 11 characters, and if I count, HELLO is 5, world is also 5, and \n, so it must give us 12 answer, but it is showing us 11, so it means that \n is a single character. So when we look at the lines in a file, we need to imagine that there is a special invisible character at the end of each line. So that marks the end of the line, called the new line. And what I am saying, that the new line character separates the characters into the file into lines. So in a file we use new line character, that is \n at the end of every line, so it gets separated into different lines and it does not make a string as a whole. So let's start with the reading files. The file handle does not contain data for the file. It is quite easy to construct a for loop to read through and count the lines of a file. So let me show you. Fn equals to open. Okay. So sorry, let's just make it in a script file so it will not show error. Okay, one thing I also want to tell you that whenever you are using such bigger syntaxes or bigger functions or loops, you must use script files so it will not create errors. Okay, so let's first let me save it. Okay. And now let's run it. Sorry. Let me just check what is the error. So now it has shown us the right answer. Okay, so what I have done, let me just tell you what I have done. Okay, first I have created a file handle, okay, and I have used open, and then I opened the file. Okay, and what you will be thinking what I have done here. Okay, I have told the Python that I am opening the file in reading mode. Okay, R represents for reading, and I could have also opened it in writing mode, and then I have assigned count equal to 0, and in the for loop for line in fn, okay, count equals to count plus equals to 1, and then I have printed the line count. Okay, so we can use the file handle as the sequence in our for loop. Our for loop simply counts the number of lines in the file and prints them out. Okay, the rough translation for the for loop in English is, for each line in the file represented by the file handle named fn, add 1 to the count variable. Okay. The reason that open function does not read the entire file is that the file might be quite large with many gigabytes of data. Okay, the open statement takes the same amount of time regardless of the size of the file, and the for loop actually causes the data to be read from the file. And when the file is read using a for loop in this manner, Python automatically takes care of splitting the data in the file into separate lines, okay, using the new line character, which I have told you just before reading the files. And Python read each line through the new line, includes the new line as the last character and the line variable for each iteration of the for loop. So what I am saying is that the for loop reads the data one at a time. Okay, it can efficiently read and count the lines of a very large file without running out of main memory, okay, to store the data. So the above program counts the lines of any sized file using very little memory, since each line it reads and then counts and then discards it. So if you know that the file is very small compared to the size of your main memory, okay, main memory, which I am using here many times, is referred to as random access memory, RAM. Okay, you can read the whole file into one string using the read method. Okay, so on the file handle. So how to use that? So what I have done, I have created the file handle, and then I have applied a method called read on the file handle, and I have stored the value in input, and then I have printed the length of the input. So let me run it. So what it shows, it is showing the amount of characters present in the file, and in earlier when I ran the program, it showed us the number of lines present in the program. So these are two different things which you can do on a file. Okay, and one thing you must keep in mind, that whenever you are using any file, okay, and working on any file, and you are creating any program to access that file, so the file and the program must be stored in the same directory. Okay, so this was about reading the file. So let's move forward and go through searching through a file. Okay, whenever you are searching through data in a file, it is very common pattern to read through a file, ignoring most of the lines and only processing the lines which meet a requirement. So we can combine the pattern for reading a file with string methods to build such simple mechanisms. So for example, if we want to read a file and only print out lines which started with the prefix, let's say I want to print the lines which start from colon. Okay, and then we can use the string method called starts with to select only those lines with the desired prefix. Okay, so let's make it into a program. So now I'm going to use the short version of the file, and for line in fnt, if line dot starts with from colon, okay, print the line. So when this program runs, so let's run it. Sorry, So you can see that it has printed all the lines which are starting with the desired prefix from. So, but why are we seeing the extra blank lines? This is due to the invisible new line character. Each of the new line ends with each of the lines in the file end with a new line. So the print statement prints the string in the variable line which includes a new line. Okay, so in this program we are printing line, and line will automatically contain new line character which is there in the last of every line in the file, and the print statement itself adds a new line whenever it is printing any statement. So we are seeing two extra blank spaces. So we could use line slicing to print all but the last character, so to remove this extra space. Okay, but a simpler approach will be to use a method called rstrip. Okay, I earlier told you the method strip, which removed the white spaces from the end and the first of the any string. Okay, but rstrip will remove the white spaces from the right side of the string. So why you must be thinking, what are white spaces? White spaces include new line, simple space character, and tab characters. Okay, so how you can do that, let me just show you. Okay, we just need to add one line in this program. Line equals to line dot line strip. Okay, line dot rstrip. So when this program runs, we get the following output. Okay, as your file processing programs get more complicated, you may want to structure your search loops using continue. Okay, so the basic idea of any search loop is that you are looking for some interesting or desired lines, and effectively you want to skip some uninteresting or undesired lines, and then when we find any interesting or desired line, we do something with that line. So we can structure the loop to follow the pattern of skipping the undesired lines as follows. Okay, as follows. Okay, so if not line dot starts with from, I can use continue statement here, and so the output of the program must be the same as the earlier program. So let me show it to you. You can see that the output